What is up, people? We're back with Down the Middle Podcast. I'm Ryan.
I'm Nomal.
I'm Kat.
Special guest today, Kant Mon. Long time, very close friend. We're going to talk about comedy today and entertainment and how today in America we have this massive onslaught on what is acceptable in our entertainment industries. So, Kant, you are leading us off in this one. This is your topic.
Okay,
So what do we got? What's happening with entertainment today? What's going on?
I don't know. I just feel like every now and then we see entertainment as something about like wokeness. I mean, like again, there's like a natural shift in like woke culture, but like it's just to the point where it's like so in your face and it's kind of like not enjoyable. You know what I mean? Like if it's gonna happen, let it happen naturally. Don't shove it down our throats.
That makes sense because like what you were saying, that comedy is an amazing thing. It should be accepted in all different forms, really.
Yeah, I don't think we should have boundaries on comedy. I think that's the whole purpose of comedy. But I think as Ken was speaking about, we've seen a more shift of politicization of different topics and definitely in different spheres of entertainment within our society. So that goes into sporting events or award ceremonies, et cetera, and I don't think that's the right way to go about it.
And like Kant said, there's a natural shift to things. I mean, when change is a very good thing, coming from conservative, change is a very good thing. It's a necessity. And you see, like, one of the things that I think about is music. Like, there was a natural shift in what's acceptable and what's liked in our music industries. Right. Like, 80 years ago, we're listening to operas and stuff, right. And now today we have people rapping about their booties. And, like, that's just and there's no problem with that. We just naturally shifted away. And now, like, when people our age listen to, like, the Grateful Dead, the people older are like, you guys listen to that stuff? That's crazy. But they're not, like, insulting us or we're not insulting them. It's just a natural shift. And if you could just tell me, like, the point of comedy, kind of, because Kant watches more comedy than I do. Like, just the point.
A little too much.
You watch a lot of comedy, Kant?
Of course.
He's a funny guy.
Of course, yeah. Dave Chappelle, man.
And, like, Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, these guys that you watch, like, there's a certain goal of comedy.
Yeah, it's just to ridicule both sides, whether it be on the left, on the right, you know, even in between. Like, the goal of comedy is just to, like, you know, just have fun, take a joke. You know, it's not serious. I feel like everyone just gets so offended nowadays that, like, it's, like, not acceptable anymore. Like, you've seen the whole thing with, like, freaking Kevin Hart and all that.
Yeah.
Where he's, like, oh, my God, what was it? He was supposed to host the Oscars, and then he made, like, one gay tweet, like, anti-gay tweet, like, 10 years ago. And then he was forced to... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So cancel culture is a scary thing.
And just to comment on that, I think comedy has been a pivotal part in society for ages, especially since, like, we got kings and queens, they were jesters.
Jesters.
Yeah, jesters, right? So it's been a very important part of society, and it's been used as, like, a medicine to despair. Humor's been used to find the light and dark side of, like, different aspects of life.
Exactly.
So I think it's very pivotal in terms of perspective. Because at the end of the day, perspective is really everything.
Yeah, and it's just like a release. It's like you can sit down and you can laugh. And a weird example I was thinking about before is that we do a fighting tournament in Exile, and we beat each other up. And, like, the best thing to do after you get punched in the face is look at the other guy and say, that was a great punch. You know, if you're a sore loser and you're just like, damn, I can't. Like, we fought too, and you've beat me up and I've beat you up, and we come together after and we just say to each other, that was a great fight. You know, I'm not mad at you. I'm not hating you that you hit me. And same thing with comedy. Someone pokes a jest at you. They're not committing an act of violence against you. They're just poking fun at you. The best thing to do is laugh at it and just move on. They're not against you. That's the thing. And now today it's kind of seemed like he's saying this stuff, so he believes all this stuff, and he's trying to take away from this society.
It's not always the case.
Usually not the case. Yeah,
exactly.
And now just getting to the specific examples, we did a whole video on cancel culture, and we talked about how. And cancel culture, just give me the quick definition on it. I'll give some examples.
So, I mean, cancel culture in itself does have a good idea to it. At the root of it, it's definitely combating the detriments of society. So that would be like racism, abusive, actions of other people, stuff like that. But now it's progressed to something that's much more ugly in today's society, where anybody could be canceled for even the minor thing, the most minor of offenses. And it could ruin people's careers, livelihoods, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been seeing, at least in today's society, where it might not look like a major thing, but you'll still get canceled for it. And a lot of people, in response to that, are afraid to be themselves or say their opinions.
Yeah, and I mean, just some examples. You have Gina Carano, who's the Mandalorian co-star. Yes. She got canceled because she was making tweets just very neutral tweets saying basically the Holocaust was wrong, and she got canceled. And J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter books, got canceled because he supported a woman who had made anti-transgender tweets way back. He got canceled for that. Ellen DeGeneres got canceled.
Well,
Just
I'm sure she
recently.
was an asshole to her staff, though. But
Yeah. I mean,
that's what I
like
heard.
Nomal said, cancel culture is good on its face. I mean, you get rid of the stuff that you don't need, but now it's gotten ugly. And one of the things that you brought to us is that you watch Chappelle, and Chappelle is kind of like when we talk comedy and entertainment, I think he's the biggest one who's been a victim of this kind of.
As of late, yeah.
And Chappelle has great content too. I love
Chappelle's
Chappelle.
hilarious.
Absolutely.
He's hilarious.
My favorite. He's also other comedians' favorite comedian.
He's Kevin Hart's favorite comedian.
Exactly. Yeah. You'll hear every other comedian, Chris Rock, Cat Williams, they all say Dave Chappelle's the guy, the number one guy. Nice. And they're trying to cancel him.
So tell me about Chappelle. Give me a quick rundown about him.
So he's at the height of his career. That was back in, what was it, the 90s, right? Like mid-90s?
I say like 90s, more like 2000s, yeah.
Yeah, so basically he was offered $50 million to do another season, but for some reason, and nope, I don't think anyone, maybe he's covered this on like the Joe Rogan Project. What?
Season of what?
Oh, the Chappelle Show, because he has his show called The Chappelle Show, and he's at the height of his career, like, this is like a really successful season. He backed out and moved to South Africa. No one exactly knew why. And then in his specials, he kind of pokes at it, but it's like basically he talks about like cancel culture. Like if you've ever seen his thing Sticks and Stones.
Mm-hmm. This is new thing, right?
No, it was in 2010.
Okay. It was one of his most recent works.
Yeah. Exactly.
Which I enjoyed.
Exactly. He talks about it a little bit. Like he was allowed to like make fun of his own race, make fun of white people, make fun of Asians. You've seen this. He has a thing called the racial draft.
I love that video so much. I think I watched it for a sociology class recently. I think it's hilarious. It's
one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, he was allowed to say all that, and then he tried to make a segment of like making fun of gay people a little bit. And then his like executives were like, yeah, you can't do that. And he touches on in this special, he says he can't use a word that rhymes with maggot. Yeah. But he could say like the N-word, he could say like chink, he could say all these other things, but he couldn't say that one word, which was like off to him. So yeah.
And just like that race draft video, have you seen it?
No,
it is so funny.
Maybe if you jog my memory,
it's like he's got these different communities, and he's doing like the NFL draft, bringing different ethnic groups into the communities. He's drafting the white person. And he comes up, he's stereotypically white, and like he's got the business suit on. He's talking like this, and then you got like the black guy comes. Oh, he drafted the Wu-Tang Clan.
No, that was the Asian clan.
Oh, that was the Asian. Oh yeah, look at
that was.
The black guy comes up and he's like got his clothes all baggy, just stereotypical, the worst stereotypes about these people, and he's just poking fun at it. I think it's hilarious. And Bill Burr is on there too.
Bill Burr is on there.
And also just a comment on that skit as well. He goes into the impressions. Have you seen the impressions?
Yeah, his impressions are great.
And then he goes to the first impression. Yeah, you'll see it. Just watch it.
He puts the powder on his face to be the white guy.
And then the second impression, he goes. So the crowd has to guess who I am. So then he goes, if you do anything wrong in your life, whether it's yesterday or 10 or 15 years ago, I'm going to end your life. I'm going to end your career. Who am I?
Yeah, that's how that was
like,
in Sticks and
Stones. It's you! It's you guys! It's like, so he's just trying to shed light on like how society is and how you can't say a thing nowadays.
Yeah.
And you'll just get canceled for it, which goes back to my previous point that I made. But it was funny how he put it, but it just shows like, wow, it's very true.
And I mean, I think that most people don't support this, but there are a lot of people who do now. And you had a lot of numbers on the Netflix situation because he got into an altercation with Netflix now.
Yeah, so there's a misconception about Netflix not liking his content, and that's why he was off the stream, or on Netflix rather. Mm-hmm. But actually what happened was Viacom, they own the rights to the Dave Chappelle Show, the one you're referring to before, where he had the $50 million contract or something like that. But they sold those rights to Comedy Central, HBO Max, and Netflix. And then Dave Chappelle had a conversation with Netflix stating that, hey, I'm actually not getting paid for this anymore. I appreciate it if Netflix takes it down. So now I think Netflix has already taken it down. And you said HBO Max took it down as well.
had it down too, yeah.
But Comedy Central is still streaming it. Mm-hmm. So it's more so a decision made by Dave Chappelle for his audience to actually boycott against his own show.
Yeah.
So there's change in him getting more royalties within the show. So it's not of him being canceled, actually.
And if he's not getting paid, then he doesn't want to show up. That makes perfect sense. And Bill Burr is another guy that you watch a lot too. He said that he's changed his routine significantly to kind of cater to this. And this is like a big thing now, is that you have, one of the things that we've spoken about is that when you have these potential ramifications that seem like they're so apparent, you want to see people take steps and precaution before. Like we talk about when like someone gets shot, you want the National Guard mobilized beforehand. Because you know. And now this is kind of like, that's completely different from in comedy. You think that you're going to get canceled, so you change your routine beforehand. Because this is what kind of Bill Burr has done. He's looked at what's going to happen to him if he says X, so now he's changed what he says in the first place. And that's a dangerous thing. It kind of stinks because you have this one way that you joke for a while, and then you say all these people are getting canceled, and then you got to change it up.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it prevents you from being the best version of yourself and best version of who you want to be as a comedian. And a comedian, obviously, like, that's why there were no boundaries. Like, you have a lot to work with, and you'll be able to just put out your best content.
Yeah.
And now Bill Burr, what a shame, because he has great content, honestly. I think he's one of the greatest comedians, in my opinion. But
up to like 2018, 2019.
Yeah, for sure.
Funny stuff.
But he's had an amazing career, and to say that he's changing up his routine in response to cancel culture is just horrible. And you can see the detriments right now with Bill Burr.
And you spoke about Family Guy too.
Oh yeah, even Family Guy. Apparently, they made a statement saying that they're no longer gonna make any like gay jokes or homophobic jokes. Which, I mean, okay, but like, you know what I mean? Like, why that specifically? You know.
Yeah, because just like to take a moderate approach to this, there's a real sense to it. And I can understand if Bill Burr was up there and he was just poking fun at black people all day long. Just black joke. Exactly. Yeah, and like if Dave Chappelle was up there and he was just making fun, I mean, I don't really think that anyone would happen to him if he did, but just making fun of white people over and over and over again. I can understand people come out against that and say, hey, there may be some actual bias here. This guy's up there, he only jokes about black people all day long. He's a white guy. And if you were a straight guy and you just made fun of gay people the whole time, you can make the boundary on where you think comedy can go and where you think it has to draw the line. But there is a sense to saying if you're saying hateful things, then get rid of it. If you're saying things that are going to harm people, this is the same thing we talk about in censorship. If there's hateful content, you need to get rid of that hateful content.
Right.
But this stuff, it seems very safe on its face.
A big thing about why they get canceled is because they talk about like they not talk like highly against, but they poke fun at like the LGBTQ plus community. So that's a big reason why they get canceled.
Yeah.
So I'd like to say because they have some interesting statistics here. On like Rotten Tomatoes, at first that special we're talking about had a 1%, and they got changed to 34%, which is insane.
Rotten Tomatoes is a mess.
But that's just like the top tomato, the Rotten Tomatoes critics.
Rotten Tomatoes trash. Like there's some amazing movies out there, and they give horrible reviews, and then they give great reviews for terrible movies. I don't believe the thing they say.
Yeah, and the thing about Rotten Tomatoes we were talking about is like they have the critic score, which is based on the expectations for the movie, and then you have audience score, which there's always a vast differentiation between what the two things say.
You want to know what the audience score is?
99%.
99
to 1%.
99
it
to 1%.
It could be a bigger difference.
I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, who cares what the critics have to say?
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
How do they even get there?
And I want to open the... You go ahead.
Oh, there's even some freaking... I'll read some of them right now.
Yeah.
I'll read one. This is like one of their top critics, Hannah Gregorius. Word for word, she said, "Sticks and Stones registers as a temper tantrum, the product of a man who wants it all, money, fame, and influence, without much having to answer to anyone." But this is also the guy who turned down $50 million to do his second season of Dave Chappelle.
Exactly. And if you actually listen to Chappelle speak on Joe Rogan, you listen to have an interview, these guys are not evil at all. They're human beings, and they say they're meant to make people laugh, and they're funny people. That's just insane that you would categorize that. And we'll shift now a little bit to we're talking Netflix, and we're talking about the Rotten Tomatoes and just the cuties thing now, which is just... I mean, if the overall goal of this specific episode is to talk about how these things are a detriment to society, I don't think that any example could be more to show that we're having negative societal shift than the fact that cuties is a thing and that it was positively regarded.
Yeah, I don't understand. Well, first of all, both from left and the right, cuties have got backlash, both from left and right. Because so basically, cuties, for all of you that don't know, I think it was a movie that was released somewhere around a year and a half ago.
2020, yeah.
2020. And it was basically a bunch of 8-year-olds, and they were actually all 8-year-olds, right?
They're like legit 11-year-olds, yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, 11-year-olds. And
but still not good.
It's more so like the whole movie is them provocatively dancing, right?
They join a dance team. You know, they do a lot of like if you like. Well, I don't recommend watching clips, but if you do, like, if you're curious about it, they do some really like horrendous stuff in that. Like, there's a scene where like this.
Watching Cardi B.
Yeah, exactly. Too busy watching that. But there's a scene where like this one guy, he's like 15, 16. He's like trying to rip off this girl's pants, and she's like 11. It's disgusting. I don't know how.
I haven't watched a single clip from it.
No, please don't.
I just heard about the whole movie when it was coming out, and obviously it's definitely something I didn't agree with. But I think at least it gave me some hope to hear that. But a lot of people were not happy about it.
Yeah.
And it's a French-based movie. But nonetheless, it got released on Netflix and it got a lot of backlash. But despite its backlash, they actually received some good reviews on it, right?
Yeah, so if you guys know who Tessa Thompson is, she's a very successsual, very good actress, right? She's in...
I like her acting,
yeah, she was in Marvel. She was Valkyrie. Yeah. She was in Creed, Men in Black, the new one with, what's his name? Chris Hemsworth. Yeah. She said that it was because it was in the Sundance Movie Film Festival, which I think like a lot of movies have successful movies that came out. She like defended it. She said it was like showing like women expression. You know how women shouldn't like set like they shouldn't just what's the word, like settle for societal norms.
Yeah.
But,
right,
like,
but
it comes to the point, yeah, exactly.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It like comes to the point like when you're doing all that as an 11-year-old.
Yeah, and she said women, and they're not women.
Exactly, they're young
They're
girls.
children, very
Kids.
young
It's
children.
disgusting. And what you said before is though maybe the worst thing about it is their parents took them to this.
Right, I was just telling like it's not that like these 11-year-olds just came out of nowhere and decided to go to auditions by themselves.
There's a
Like, their
stampede of
parents
11-year-olds just going to twerk down the street.
Right,
Like-
like their parents literally knew what the movie was about, put their kids in there, watched the movie in the premiere. I'm assuming, and they're like, yeah, this is great.
This is
Could
good.
you imagine the freaking
This is definitely in California.
the producers and like the directors going through all those auditions? It's just that's borderline like child
And I
pornography.
never watched it myself. You told me about it, and I was in disbelief that I've never seen a single clip from it. But the thing is that
please
like
no.
Chappelle gets canceled, and
Yeah.
they have Elizabeth Chappelle, and this is what's kind of lifted up and praised in a lot of aspects more than Chappelle is. And just like one of the things about entertainment is the goal of it is to bring us together. Like if we have a real big dispute, if we can look at it and just kind of take a step back and laugh at it, that is a great step to bring us together. And that's what Chappelle does. If you watch his stuff, that's what he does. He teases both sides, and he teases the fact that they're so different. And then you kind of look at it, you're like, we are so different for no reason. And we should really come together on that.
And that's literally the epitome of comedy. You bring people together through laughter.
Exactly, yeah.
And
if you're good at it.
If you're good at it. If you're saying
you're
stupid
bad,
crap on
it's
stage,
fine.
and
Yeah.
But you bring people together if you're bad, too, because then we all just team up against you.
Yeah.
So either way, it's a great field.
And just going on top of that, just to give another fact about that was, you said that Rotten Tomatoes gave 1% to the Six and Tones episode.
Yep.
But for Cuties, it gave an 89%. 88%.
And then when it finally
Approval
opened
rate.
to the audience, it took a while because they knew what was going to happen. Guess what it was? 16%. And you know what's another crazy statistic? I've looking on like a couple sources. I think the New York Post actually posted this too. Right after that movie came out, Netflix had a 800% backlash and they were taking away canceling their subscriptions. So 800% of people, which is
Wow.
I didn't even
That's
know that was a
awesome.
thing. Yeah,
That's
I was
good.
looking in the New York Post. Yeah, I'm reading this right now. It's
Yeah.
insane. Netflix subscription cancels skyrocket after Cuties backlash.
I mean, sometimes you have these organizations actually doing the right thing. Like, we're wearing Nike right now, because Nike has announced they're stopping their cotton slave labor
Yeah, against
Yeah.
in China,
with
which
the
is different
legal-
But
topics.
the people that are utilizing those
Different
resources, I mean, like I guess legally or whatever, did not speak up about that, which would be LeBron, D Wade, et cetera.
True that.
So that's something to definitely note.
It's a whole different
and
video though.
just like one thing that you spoke about there is that this is what's regarded as popular, and this is accepted now. And just like I want to jump the conversation a little bit to the Grammys, Cardi B. You have Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. I think that this is just like disgusting. That you have the Grammy performance where they're basically sex dancing on stage, and this is what is shown to our young people. You have 11-year-old girls. Their
Exactly.
parents bring them in because obviously there's a big shift in societal norm to the fact where 11-year-olds can twerk and it can be put up on Netflix for millions of people to watch. You have celebrities that can
Praise it.
praise it, and celebrities can do the same thing for millions of people to watch. And
I totally forgot the guy. What's that YouTuber, Mr. Girl? I was telling you
Mr.
about.
Girl, yeah.
Yeah, there's this like YouTuber who was like defending it to like the death, and he eventually got his YouTube banned. But he was saying like,
He's talking about Cuties.
Yeah.
dude, he was saying some really gross things. He was like, oh, it was like meant to like be like turn you on. I think he's like 30 something.
It's
Like, it's
disgusting.
so gross. Yeah, and he like kept defending it on like these streams. But yeah, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. And like the thing I was just pointing at is that you have one thing that we were talking about that was kind of objective to this is that everyone has a platform, everyone has access to all this stuff. And now you have to kind of take into account that everyone has access to seeing Cuties, everyone has access to seeing the Grammys, and then our younger people are very susceptible to things that they see. You see Cardi B, she interviews Joe Biden.
Yeah,
Her nails are longer than
she's like a huge
freaking
like political
ruler.
figure right
she,
now.
She was in.
for
It
some
was
reason.
hilarious.
Yeah.
She was in politics for a minute, and then like they got rid of her so quickly because like she was just doing horribly.
because Joe won.
Yeah, no, it was way before Joe Biden won. She just
Yeah.
disappeared completely. But these are the role models we're giving to our young people, and then you wonder why something like Cuties can exist.
Yeah.
Because like what you were saying to me is that the Grammys had these kind of decreasing morality in what was acceptable from years ago, decades ago, and I think that this is definitely the climax of how bad it's gotten. Was
Don't
this
say
past
that.
year?
Now there's gonna be something way worse.
Oh, they will be. I'll bet you money on it. But like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Is Cuties a result of Cardi B's type slowly, this older generation slowly shifting away from what's traditional?
Yeah, I think. I mean, it is kind of hard to say because what came first, like you said, what came first, really?
Yeah.
I mean, actually, there is scientific research that the chicken came first.
I think the chicken came first.
But
I'm a big supporter of that.
That's a whole different video.
Yeah. Chicken lives matter.
But I think the thing I want to talk about in regards to that is that a lot of people say that, well, you're the parent, you should control what your kids see or not see, which is also a valid thing to say, but also in today's day and age with social media, that's a far-fetched idea. Social media is everywhere. If you walk around, especially with the kids,
you can
the
block
generation
it,
after us, they literally grow up with phones, iPads, etc., etc. So they're surrounded by social media, not like anything we've experienced, and then our parents have experienced anything like this before.
Should give them access to Down the Middle podcast.
What you said?
Just give them access to Down the Middle.
Oh, Down the Middle podcast.
Oh, jeez. I was like, oh, no. But yeah, I was like,
I actually didn't hear you. I was like, what did he say?
But I was saying, like, yeah, your parents might be able to block it, but like your friends' parents won't. You know what I mean? Like,
it's very limited in terms of the restrictions you can actually apply onto your kids and what they see. And the thing on top of that is that Cardi B has such a young following.
Yeah,
it's insane.
A huge young following. And a weird example I want to bring up, because this topic is just throwing me in weird places. We had this one thing you remember well, you've seen before, where I had a friend jump over my car as I was driving at him. Great, this kid's an amazing athlete. We tested it before we knew he was going to do it. It was completely safe, and we did it. And like the mom in the house comes out and she says to us, "You're being a bad role model for my kids. Can you stop?" And like I get it. You don't want your kid. You don't want like to see little Stacy tomorrow driving the toy car at him, and he tries to jump over it and he fractures his ankle. But like this great athletic, amazing feat that my friend performed is being a bad role model for your kids. But then
Cardi B is
A-okay. Yeah.
What, is she gonna barricade the windows now?
Exactly. Like you're gonna keep your kid. This is before COVID, so maybe she.
Maybe she's that by now.
Yeah, but this is something that's not being torn down. But there was like no significant backlash for the Grammys.
Not even a little bit.
You said Cuties had significant backlash, which makes sense, but the Grammys didn't. And there's been a huge, like, the shift isn't just comedy. We talked about Chappelle and Bill Burr, but the Oscars too, and these big celebrity ceremonies have had a shift too. The Oscars this year was I just want to mention the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. They have said that the way that they're going to reward and select their winners, they're going to put it through a criteria based on racial, ethnic, gender, and sexual orientation diversity for how they're going to select which movies are the best.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, no, can you repeat that?
So the Academy for Motion Picture of the Arts and Sciences has said that the films competing for their best picture is going to be put through a criteria based on racial, ethnic, gender, and sexual orientation diversity.
Sounds about right.
How's that approved?
Does anywhere in there say quality of movie or film?
That's not what film should be.
Like, I didn't go to see Star Wars to see
the
racial. I mean, you could put it in there. It was great that Rey was the lead, and I mean, that's not the reason the movie was. I don't think it was good. But the people who thought it was good, they didn't think it was good because Rey was a female, or bad because Rey was a female.
The
we
way
thought
she
it
was written. Yeah.
Bad because Luke Skywalker was completely cast off, and his character was destroyed, and it was horrible what you did to him. But
I'm actually upset about that. That is so horrible. Like, I love movies, so like each movie has its own distinct, like, you know, aura and like theme and like its ability to portray like different scenes, like, and now it's based off of this one checklist criteria that like goes back to the checklist we were talking about. If you don't check the list of the box, you don't deserve an award, which is absolutely absurd to me. And I'm actually talking about the Oscars. So right now, every Oscar given out comes with a virtue signaling speech. It's ridiculous. And they comment about what's wrong with society. Like, okay, I had a steak last night. I'm the shittiest person in the world. Okay, I get it. I should be vegan now. It comes with a horrible speech like that. It's nothing to do with the work that created with the film. So I think right now, what the Oscars and the Emmys and all that stuff is doing, it takes away the uniqueness of the work that the producers or the songwriters or the directors have done. Yeah. And then completely shifts it to a different narrative that society began to accept. So, like veganism. Like, I mean, I'm cool. Yeah, sure. You could be a vegan. Just now you're talking about, you know, like, for example, like, what's Joaquin Phoenix? Is that
Joaquin Phoenix, yeah.
So he actually,
he had
an Oscar for,
He's had a lot of protesting.
Yeah, and he had got an Oscar for Joker. I haven't watched the movie, but I heard it was great. Whatever.
It's an amazing
he actually played the role pretty well. But he got his Oscar, and he went on to say how we're killing cows and how we're taking away calves from mother cows and stuff like that. I'm like, I mean, sure, that's cool and all, but
why'd I have to hear that?
you got an Oscar for the Joker.
Yeah, and I'm pass it to you in a second, but I want to bring up something based on that. Was Trayvon Free was the actor at the Oscars who won best. He won an award for best actor, or one of those awards, and his whole speech was about police brutality. And I'm in full support of using your platform to bring things to light. And I think that Kyrie Irving did a great job with it. I think it was just yesterday, where he sat on he has a press conference after every game, and he sat there and he says, basketball is not the most important thing to me right now. What's happening in Palestine is more important than playing basketball. And yes, politics is more important than basketball 24/7. But Trayvon came out and he said it was just misinformation about the police kill 3 black people a day, and that there's just disproportionate killing of black people to all other races, and just real misinformation. When this is you won because of your movie. This is your one time on the stage, and if you want to bring light to what you have to bring light to, you do it, but you do it with facts. And also you can talk about the fact that we just gave you this award because of your movie. You can talk about your movie a little bit too, because that's why we like you.
Yeah. Just a comment on that. I just want to make this very, very clear, right? If you have a platform, I fully support you using that platform to talk about the injustices that are happening in society and promoting a better world for society, right? The problem I have is that most celebrities have absolutely no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Right? And they can't, and a lot of these celebrities also act like they can resonate with the downfalls of society that an average citizen is experiencing, which is a huge problem. Yeah. For example, so on one side, I'm fully against that reporter saying you should just shut up and dribble to LeBron James.
Yeah.
Right? But also LeBron James is a hypocrite for using the Ugar camps for the cotton he uses for his Nike products. Mm-hmm. And then 2, just doesn't comment on that. And 3 also says he's oppressed in his $1 million house and makes $200 million a year.
Yeah, what did he say? He was something
that's
the hunted or something like that.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
he can't leave the house without being scared he's gonna get shot.
God.
It doesn't make sense to me. So
I know you guys touched on this, but he is a huge hypocrite.
Yeah,
he says to defund the police. He had the whole thing with that. What's the police officer's name they took the picture of?
Oh, that
said
was
you're next.
Ohio.
Mackay Bryant's
case.
Yes,
you're next officer.
And took down.
It's crazy. And then someone went and did some research. He hires current and former police officers for his personal security. If you guys didn't know
he
that.
does.
I've seen the pictures. Yeah,
it's insane. It's so hypocritical. It's I don't know how it doesn't register. Maybe I should have talked about the guys who defend my home.
And I wanted to give you just a talking point here, because we speak about that there is a sense to this, and you can include these things in your films. You want to include diversity. You want to include the feminism idea. And I think that one of the funniest and kind of cringe scenes in Avengers Endgame is the scene where you've seen Avengers. I love that movie.
I think this is where.
Do you know the scene I'm talking about?
Captain Marvel, where he's oh, which one are you talking about?
It's the one where Spider-Man is on the floor. He grabs the gauntlet.
Yeah,
and then, all the women come out at once, and they're just like, "We'll protect you, little boy." And it's just
my goodness.
Have you seen it?
It's not ringing a bell right now.
It's great. It's great.
They're throwing the freaking gauntlet around, and then freaking Spider-Man has it.
And Spider-Man is a young boy, and he's on the floor, and they're about to attack him, and it's just 30 women just come out.
I remember that scene.
It's great.
That's a pretty fire scene.
I mean, it's great. You have all these women superheroes. A lot of the Captain Marvel's the strongest one.
They're trying to make her the new Captain America, the new leader, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it's either her or Thor.
I'm all for Captain Marvel, but the actor is just horrendous.
Apparently she's super unlikable.
Horrendous.
Yeah.
Someone else should have been the Captain Marvel.
But that's just very cringe to see that. I thought it was very cringe. Bad. Yeah. Because there's an acceptability to having the feminism shift, and there's a lot of positive shifts about
Black
this.
Widow's getting a lot of fame, which is good.
Black Widow
She's a good entertaining character. Yeah.
Black Widow's awesome.
Apparently they're trying to put Gamora in the works.
Yeah.
The green one from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They had another thing, but
I mean, a lot of the woman characters in Marvel
they're very
are stronger.
They're really good.
Wanda,
exactly.
Wanda's OP.
Yeah, they're very strong, but just the idea that let's just do a scene where there's just this little boy who needs help, and then just 300 women come out, and they're just we have you, don't worry. It was just a little bit too much for me. And who was in that scene? Tessa Thompson. And now we'll push it forward a little bit. We talked about, and one thing that I wanted to mention too was you have there's always a double standard with who gets canceled and who doesn't. Piers Morgan was the former talk show host for Good Morning Britain. He got canceled for coming after Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle said that she was afraid her baby was going to be too dark when she came out, and Piers Morgan basically came out and said, "You have no reason to be speaking. You are a princess in a castle, and you speak like you're oppressed." And he got fired for this. He got canceled effectively for this. And then you have all these major shifts that we see of people who I would argue, do not deserve to be canceled, and they are anyway.
Side note, this doesn't really like apply to like entertainment, but like, isn't it crazy how the whole thing with like Governor Cuomo, he's like under fire for like the sexual allegations? Isn't it crazy that like he's not going under like fire for like the nursing home situation and how he handled COVID, but he's going under fire just because he made some girls uncomfortable? Isn't that weird?
Even not going under fire. He made $5 million from that book about how he handled COVID when exactly. He has. COVID is his father. Like the way that COVID has treated Governor Cuomo.
He got blessed through COVID. Like he literally killed so many people.
He did. It was horrible. And
he wrote a book about it.
And he made.
It's like it reminds me of the O.J. Simpson book.
What did Trevor Noah call him? A Cuomo-sexual? Wait, he called himself that? Oh my god! That which was on the Ellen Show, of course. But yeah,
that's crazy stuff. That's crazy.
Yeah, isn't that really strange?
It's almost as if there's certain people who don't want Cuomo gone and who want people like Dave Chappelle gone. Or like even Joe Rogan, who comes out and says, if you're under 21, you really don't need to get the vaccine. They want him gone.
Oh, yeah. They've been wanting him gone for a while.
They want Rogan, but Rogan is awesome, and Rogan is a tough SOB. He's
a straight white male being popular in today's day and age.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That they can have those there still.
Yeah, and it's working too. Like he's getting a lot of heat from Spotify.
Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah, but I mean, Rogan's awesome. He's not going to back down.
He's getting his money regardless.
And just like I wanted to speak about the Oscars too, because the Oscars had made this shift where now, like we just spoke about, how they have that new criteria, and like the movies that are winning the best pictures of the Oscars you've never heard of, they just do the best to paint America as horrible, and that's why they win the Oscars. It's no movie you've actually ever heard of.
But, and not to play devil's advocate, but like these things like the Emmys, the Oscars, and like the Grammys, their viewership is going down a lot because of that.
Huge. 40 million to 9 million.
So maybe, what's up?
How's that playing devil's advocate?
I'm just saying, no, because like you're saying that like the cultural shift is like ruining our society, but like, like people, they are like, they're not turned on.
They're not tuning in anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing with like the woke sports and everything. Exactly. I mean, the viewership for...
NBA's down how many percent?
NFL's down. Everything's pretty down.
NBA's down 45%.
And you know what's up? UFC and I think hockey are both up. The two things that exactly out of politics. Playing.
Yeah, like I said, like the way our spheres of entertainment and society have been politicized is ridiculous, and you do see detriments. I think now with the lower viewership, I guess you could say that most people are not like with that message.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's a great thing, but I mean, even then, it's still 9 million people who see that, and it's still and the thing is that's like those viewership counts they're a good measure to see that like you had 40 million people viewing the Oscars like somewhat like 20 years ago, and now it's 9.
15. Oh, 9.
Yeah, so but then you have to remember like a lot of this is taken into social media too. Like you get a lot of people get this through Instagram as well and through TikTok now. So even as those viewership numbers went down, TikTok is so high up. Yeah. So like a lot of those kids who we're talking about who are the real victims to this type of mindset and this shift, they're getting it through TikTok. They're not tuning in through
TV. That's
whatever the channel might be.
Because who really like buys cable anymore?
Yeah, I don't think we don't have cable.
We never had cable. What's the point? We have like Netflix. Hulu.
We watch everything. We don't have cable.
Exactly. We stream everything.
Yeah, and I mean, I pretty much went through all my stuff.
Yeah, I think we just move on to more closing comments.
Yeah.
So in terms of closing comments, for me, I don't think comedy should have any boundaries. I think that's the whole purpose of comedy, to push those boundaries and just try to find a way. Because like, yes, it's one thing to find middle ground, but I feel like comedy is also finding middle ground in a different type of way. It has a different type of relationship with history and our relationships with each other within society. And at the end of the day, like, you can't please everybody. You really can't. Someone somewhere out there will find something you said offensive. Like, there's almost 100% chance of that. Yeah. And I don't believe in anything that's 100%, but like, that would be the closest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a whole attempt to dehumanize and decharacterize society, and it takes out the uniqueness of each other. And I think in human nature, it's natural for us to be unique and have our own self-interests, and it kind of ties into the whole quota thing and the whole socialism thing, where it's more equalizing each other and trying to make us more normal, have like a normalized kind of standard, and just pushes us together. And like, so now we're taking away thoughts of comedians and thoughts of this and that, and like we can't say anything with cancel culture. So now we're all kind of pushed into this one big group, and I just don't think that's how we are naturally as humans.
That sounds socialist. Kent, thank you for coming on. Any closing statements you got for us?
No, I think Nomal hit on the head. Comedy should be the last sacred ground of like being able to say what you want, because at the end of the day, they're jokes, and we don't they're usually not meant to be like taken seriously.
Yeah.
But like, it's just everyone nowadays is just so offended, and it's just, unfortunately, that's the cultural shift that we're dealing with right now, and it's up to us to deal with it.
It's up to us to deal with it. Yeah, and those two guys hit it perfectly. I mean, there's the difference between talking about how entertainment has shifted and comedians getting canceled, like Nomal said and Kant said. The point of comedy is not to offend you. The point of comedy has this great ability to bring us together and just to poke fun at our differences and then to come together at the end of the day. And the point of entertainment in general is release. You want to release from society for a little bit. You want to look at all that crazy negative stuff that's going on. Joe Biden can't drive. You just want to go and watch a movie and forget about it for 3 hours.
It's supposed to be a break from real life.
It's a break. That was the point of... I mean, the point of literature, which is where this all started, was to liberate you from society. That's how the Greeks defined it. And now you have this where everything is politicized, like we talk about all the time. And it's dangerous. I mean, I think everyone just needs to take a step back, realize that Dave Chappelle's not trying to hurt you. The Emmys don't need to be a base for lesbian sex dancing. And then just appreciate these things for what they're meant for. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all pretty much summed it up.
And I know Nomal said he doesn't believe in anything 100%, but he does believe you should 100% subscribe to Down the Middle podcast.
That is one thing.
Hey, keep watching all our videos. Kent, thank you for coming on.
Thanks,
Great
Kent.
topic you picked.
Appreciate
This
it.
is awesome. And we'll catch you guys soon.
Yeah.
All right? Peace out.
Peace.